Is there. Lotte Kopecky is in with a huge chance.
Here comes
and
Annemiek
van Vleuten attacks on the right-hand side. Van Vleuten goes clear and everybody looks. Annemiek van Vleuten goes clear for the Netherlands. They have let her go. Annemiek van Vleuten with the fractured elbow attacks hard. An inspirational attack. She's sprinting for all she is worth. On the line, it's going to be incredible.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Well, look what happened with Bitcoin. We finally had that move to the upside. We knew that we were consolidating. We knew we were looking for a big move, and you can see actually from bottom to top right here, this was actually a 9% move. Okay, obviously it's consolidating right now. Now, we didn't know which way it was going to break out for sure, but due to the fact that we had these massively oversold conditions, I did say that I had a hunch that we were going to break out to the upside. You can actually even see right here on the 4-hour, we did come up here and we did attempt to even, break down, but we actually had found some support there. So that is good. Now, I don't want to start celebrating just yet. We're not 100% out of the water. In fact, there are a few things that Bitcoin is going to have to do if we do want to maintain at least somewhat of a potential bullish opportunity for Bitcoin. And considering that we're going to close this monthly candle in just 3 days, I'm going to show you specifically what Bitcoin needs to do in the next 3 days. Now, keep in mind, we do end this month on a Friday. And Friday, we do have options expiry. Oftentimes, we can see some selling pressure, usually on the last Friday of the year. Are we going to get it? And if we do, these are the levels that we need to maintain. Also, I am going to go over some short-term price action if you guys are looking to trade this. We're going to talk about where we should expect Bitcoin price to go. I also want to talk about some brand new data, actually, that came out, which was a little bit shocking. Some of it has to do with some really ancient Bitcoin, 10 years old, moving. And also, we are seeing very interesting profit taking happening across the board. And finally, Powell did in fact quietly give a very small speech in Paris where he did mention something about crypto. Now, you may know this or you may not. If you want to stick around to hear the rest, well, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, guys, definitely consider it. Slap a like. Make sure you stick around to the end of this video. And without further ado, let's dive right into this chart. So you can see right here, why are we stalling at this level? Well, if we zoom out right here, we could see very, very interesting pivotal point right here, right? You can see right here where we kept having all of these sort of bounces, resistance, support, resistance, support. Actually, better yet, guys, rather than do that, I will just show you with a straight up horizontal trend line. And you can see right here, that is where Bitcoin is sort of chopping around in that area, right? So lots of interest. Where do we need to go from here? Well, before we talk about that, I just want to mention one thing. Another reason why obviously Bitcoin was certainly due for some kind of a relief rally. You can see Jack has pointed out that officially now for the first time ever, a Bitcoin weekly bullish divergence in oversold territory, right? So this is very huge, and you can see right here, oftentimes when you do get down to these types of levels, specifically on the RSI, well, we usually tend to think that the worst is behind us, right? Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to blast straight to the moon. You can see right here, we chopped sideways for a while. This was back in 2015 to 2016. Same thing right here in 2019. It didn't mean that, it wasn't over. We still chopped sideways for a while, but it did mean that the worst was behind us. And yet again, could this actually be playing out with this happening for the first time and being this oversold? So super oversold, and we're actually seeing this happen on the charts. Pretty crazy stuff, right? So let's dive in. Let's have a look. So the most important, obviously, we want to hold above this pivot level right here. It's not really a pivot level, but I consider it to be a very important level. It's really just an important level in general, right? And that's around $19,500. You can see you really want to hold that support, and we have broken back above that right here. Obviously, the next target level was around $20,800. Now, we haven't technically hit that level just yet, but what we're looking for is a confirmation candle, right? So ultimately right here, yes, we do have this green candle breaking above here. We were expecting a move, but we could very easily open tomorrow and crash right back below it, right? That's what we don't want to do. What we want to see is this candle close above this level, and then tomorrow, what we want to see is a second candle as well close above this area. So we can have two things happen. We can either just close above this area, right? Just put in another green candle, that's great. Or we can have a red candle that comes down and retests this, which then in that case, we'd have to wait to the next day to see if we get the bounce. If we can get supported above this level though, then yes, I do think still 20,700, and definitely this downward sloping trend right here is going to be a very, very big area to break through. If we break through that, then I think Bitcoin is going to go back to $22,475, at least in the short term, right? So if we do that, those are essentially the targets. Obviously, break down to the downside, well, then we're looking for a retest down to about $18,000. But this so far was the move that we needed on the short-term time frame. I know it's a very small move, doesn't really mean much in this giant cluster, but if we're taking it a day at a time, this is what Bitcoin needed. So if you guys were able to get into this trade, just be safe. Obviously, put your stop loss back down at this area. I would say below around 19,260. That's kind of that area where maybe you might want to cut the losses at that point, right? And obviously, take profits as we do hit these levels. So if you guys do want to learn how to trade, make sure that you check out the tutorial popping up above. Take advantage of those $16,000 in bonuses below. Having a look right here, interestingly enough, look at this. We are seeing yet again, guys, we're seeing a red candle now on the daily for the S&P. So once again, Bitcoin remaining quite resilient while the S&P is still struggling. Now, I did speak about this level, how it was very, very significant for the S&P. And actually, I wanted to add one more level because this is, I said, oh, this is the final level. This is it. I'm actually going to say that we could go down to this level right here, only because you could see, we do have this resistance, and we built some support right there. So yesterday I was like, oh, if it falls through this, it's just going to fall straight down. I think there's a possibility that the S&P may come down to around this 3546 level. And if that's the case, well, then we could have the big deep V-shaped recovery at that point. And also just pointing out, guys, this right here, what we're forming, this is actually a descending broadening wedge, by the way, which means you're having lower lows and lower highs, but it's widening out like a megaphone, right? This is actually a bullish pattern. It's just, obviously, it's taking a long time to play out. So it doesn't mean that we can't go lower. It just means that once we finally do break out of this pattern, you're going to be looking for some fireworks, right? But I'm not saying that's going to be happening anytime soon. It could be, if we just rally straight up today, but that's probably unlikely to see that happen considering the macro environment. But things that Bitcoin needs to do. Number one, in the next 3 days, we need to close right here above this previous all-time high, right? Because this is the level, psychological as it is, that's still holding us down. And you could see how much consolidation we've had, essentially right around this level right here. So number one, closing the end of this month, which is only in 3 days, above around 19,800, right? As long as we don't keep dipping in this blue zone, this blue zone keeps acting as support, that will be the number one thing that we need to do. Having a look over here at the BLX, I explained to you guys the significance, right, of this 89 moving average. And so far it has been holding. That's sitting at around 18,237. You could see that we have touched it. Now, this red candle is sitting lower than all of these candles right here, right? So optimally, really, if we could get back above 20,000, and hold above there, that would be great, right? But realistically, just holding above 18,240 right here by the end of the month, that would put in 4 monthly candles that we've held the line above the 89, right? So that is what we also need to see. And if we come over here and have a look, I showed you guys yesterday in this Fibonacci retracement. Let me get these drawings off here. This is where we were basically just talking about being scared about forming a descending triangle. In case you guys weren't here in yesterday's video, basically a descending triangle is a bearish pattern. That's why we broke to the downside. And even though you can't really see it right now on the on the monthly, it's not really that clear, but actually right here, we are forming a bit of a descending triangle if you go to the lower time frame. So what we don't want to do is have something like we had back here. But what we do need to do, which is the purpose of me making this video, is hold above, the one level right here which is basically just, again, the old all-time high. But, if we zoom in right here, you can see that every single time, you can see right here, we've closed above this gray area, right? We're in this blue area. And look, Bitcoin did wick below it. But currently, as I'm making this video, we are back above that area. So as long as we can hold above that area, Very, very good for Bitcoin going into the month, right? So, I mean, ultimately, anything can happen. You could see doom and gloom, despair, crazy, crazy month. Look at this indecisive month that Bitcoin had. Candle all the way to the top, candle all the way to the bottom, right? Nevertheless, price remaining flat. So even though it is a bit of a weak candle, right? In a sense, like we didn't really go anywhere, but ultimately just holding above here, very, very good for Bitcoin. And of course, the DXY is actually continuing to pump, which is interesting, right? Maybe we have a quick reversal. Maybe that's all we get. Maybe the S&P does fall below these levels. And I do think if we break below that critical level, then unfortunately, because traders are going to be going back into that risk off mentality and they are treating Bitcoin like a tech stock, we may see Bitcoin plummet. That may sort of throw a wrench in the gears for us on this Bitcoin rally that we're having right now. Mini rally, only up like 7% on the day, but still nice move, right? Nice move, especially if you guys are trading. So speaking about, things happening in the DXY and all this other stuff, having a look right here, you have to understand that the DXY, right? It's showing the strength of the dollar, but it's actually showing the strength of the dollar as a basket, compared to other currencies, right? And as you can see right here, the pound sterling has hit an all-time low of $1.03 against the US dollar. As the pound sterling sinks ever lower, crypto investors in the UK get some respite from their losses, right? So actually what's interesting, and I don't have it pulled up right now, but if you do the Bitcoin to euro chart or something like that, or the pound sterling, right? Then you check it out and you'll actually see that Bitcoin is not down as much as it is compared to the dollar. I think it's only like in the 50% or something like that. So you are basically, when you're talking about the DXY, what are you talking about? Well, what's that saying? It's the cleanest pair of pants in the laundry pile or something like that. It's still a dirty pair of pants, right? But it's the cleanest out of all the dirty pair of pants in the laundry, right? So that's pretty much what it is. It's the lesser of all the other evils. That's what we're having moving on. Now, something interesting that Santiment pointed out was that it does look like a lot of traders were waiting for Bitcoin to get back above 20,000, right? You see 3.5 times as many Bitcoin transactions have happened today while an address was in profit versus at a loss. So basically they're waiting to begin selling their bag. So that's a little worrisome, right? We're seeing a little bit of heavy selling, but you want to sell into strength, right? That's how you want to do it technically. But it says as Bitcoin crossed back above the psychological level, mass profit taking ensued. Now we will find out whether those anxious to sell will regret their decision, right? And I mean, if you think about it, if you are selling, like if you bought Bitcoin at 69,000, I'm sure someone around here did, somebody did, right? And you're selling at 20,000, why would you even do that? I mean, regardless of whether it was Bitcoin or something else, why would you sell for that much of a loss? I mean, you might as well just hold at that point. Now, obviously, if you're buying a shit coin or something like that, then maybe you have to sell, right? Maybe the pump's over. But we're talking about Bitcoin here. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. Bitcoin's not going away. We know where Bitcoin is headed. We know the future for Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Things like that. So I would not be selling at these levels, not financial advice, if I did buy up at 69K. In fact, a lot of people have come to me and asked me, is now a good time to buy Bitcoin? That's a tough thing to say, right? My question is, do you have Bitcoin? Or do you already hold some Bitcoin? If you have, a bunch of Bitcoin already and you want to wait for it to go lower, fine. We can gamble with these prices a little bit. But if you have no Bitcoin exposure, you've never bought Bitcoin ever, you have zero Bitcoin, then yes, this is a great time to be buying if you don't own any Bitcoin at all, right? Because you're basically still getting Bitcoin at a 70% discount, right? So that's just what I tell people. I don't know if that's good or bad advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not actually legally allowed to give advice. But in my honest opinion, I do think it's a good level to accumulate if you haven't bought any Bitcoin at all yet, right? Another thing that was very interesting, and I don't know how this is going to tie in because we haven't seen anything yet. We did see a lot of those, some of these people were taking profit. We just saw that on Santiment. And Philip Swift pointed out that we saw the movement of some very, very old coins that have not moved on chain in over 10 years. So why is this happening right here? Why are these coins moving that haven't moved in 10 years? We don't really know. Maybe somebody's just moving it, but it's a very interesting coincidence how we break back above the psychological level. We see this profit taking, and all of a sudden a large amount of Bitcoin is moved. Could be absolutely nothing, but we will keep our eyes on it. I just wanted to bring that up to you guys. I also wanted to talk about this thing that Powell was discussing. Crypto market downturn gives regulators more time, right? So it says, and he was addressing global finance leaders and regulation experts in a conference focused on central banks and digital currencies, CBDCs, interesting, held in Paris. And he said crypto winter did not have a significant effect on the broader banking system and financial stability, which means they're not seeing it as a threat. this is good for them because I'm glad that they're we got a lot going on right now. We don't need like crazy crypto regulation coming down just yet, although I do think it's necessary for broader adoption. But he says this demonstrates the weakness and work that needs to be done, referring to the significant structural and transparency issues in DeFi. Crypto winter gives us a little bit of time. That situation will not persist indefinitely. As DeFi attracts more retail investors, Powell reiterated the need for appropriate regulation to be put into place. During his remarks, Powell said that the U.S. decided, this is a big one too, the U.S. decided not to proceed with the issuance of a central bank digital currency, thereby giving policymakers a few more years to evaluate policy issues and technology issues, as well as increase public confidence. Such work would involve different branches of the U.S. government as well. So the good news thus far is we're not really seeing anything negative towards, Bitcoin specifically. They are concerned about Ethereum and DeFi a little bit, but he's saying that we don't need to rush it right now. Let's take our time. Let's figure it out. Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Does the government get anything right? Does the Fed get anything right? But anyway, I think what they're doing right now kind of makes sense. I get what they're trying to do, although maybe not so aggressively next time, fellas, raise 80% of all the money in 2 years and then just crash the markets with rate hikes. Maybe next time we don't do it so aggressively. But nevertheless, this is telling me, number one, that they are looking to regulate, which is good. They're not looking to ban. They're not looking to get rid of crypto. And also, they have no interest right now in a central bank digital currency. This is a big fear a lot of people have talked about. With a central bank digital currency, it is a little bit scary, right? Imagine having, everything's on this ledger, and all your funds are there, and all of a sudden, you make a transaction, and it's a suspicious transaction, and they flag it, and now, guess what? Your account is closed down. Or we don't like this thing you were doing, or we don't like something you said on social media. We canceled you, and we shut your bank account down. Or, oh, you want to leave the country? Well, good luck getting on an airplane, right? Because you can't use your money because your wallet is frozen, right? That's kind of scary. It's a little like 1984, you guys ever see that? So it's something like that. But for the most part, but here's another thing too. I don't think they'd want a central bank digital currency because then we get to see what they're doing. You see? Joke's on you guys. So anyway, I think this was ultimately actually good news if you kind of read between the lines, taking their time on regulation, not looking to enforce the central bank digital currency immediately. And I think maybe this could have also somewhat played into potentially why we're seeing Bitcoin markets rallying while the S&P is still flat and sideways, right? So that is kind of interesting to see that decoupling happen. And finally, something that I need to talk about, and if you guys have been watching my channel, you know how much it freaking frustrates me when I hear, everyone's talking about Ethereum going to proof of stake. Oh, and Bitcoin's dinosaur tech, proof of work, uses all this electricity. Guys, it needs to use proof of work. It is digital gold. It is the most secure network on planet Earth, and it is completely distributed. The problem with, Ethereum staking proof of stake is that the rich get richer. The rich get richer, and the rich have the most power, right? So whoever has the most, basically whoever has the most Ethereum kind of is now in control of the network, which is very similar to the situation that we have right now in the world, right? But here's the thing. So we have a new study that found out that Bitcoin was responsible. Are you guys ready for this? 0.1% of greenhouse gas emissions in 2022. 0.1%. I don't think proof of work is an issue, guys. I think we need to really, really, really think about this. You can see right here, the study, a deep dive into Bitcoin's environmental impact carried out by Cambridge University Center for Alternative Finance discovered that the greenhouse gas emissions attributed to Bitcoin in 2022 amounted to 48.35 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. The university came out with a statement literally just this morning. You can see right here. Now, what's interesting is if we have a look at this, the estimates represent that Bitcoin mining is half of that of gold mining, okay? So really, when you break these numbers down, there's a lot of other things that are, adding to these emissions and stuff like that. But ultimately, you've also seen a lot of Bitcoin miners moving to green energy. I mean, El Salvador is using volcanic energy to mine Bitcoin. We're seeing them go solar. We're seeing them build them. I think the US and Canada should just come to some agreement and we should just mine using Niagara Falls, right? Split the difference. Half Canada, half US, that'd be cool. Something like that. I don't know. I think there are very constructive ways. We have lots of natural resources, not even natural resources. We have, endless resources, wind, solar, renewable, right? So, just had to throw this in there. You know, it's always this thing about Bitcoin mining, and then you actually look at the numbers and you're like, okay, it's not that bad, right? So that's it for me today, guys. You know, we are going to keep an eye on this. Obviously, you could see that we are starting to pull back down. I don't know if this is because the S&P, you know, is potentially going to start dragging us down. That's a possibility. I was worried about this level. I did have a little bit of a doom and gloom outlook yesterday. I changed my mind. I do think we might find some support here, but that's it. Like that's it, guys. That's the support. You know, and actually, if you want to just something real quick on the S&P, let me just throw on the 200. Do I have it on here? I don't have it on here. All right, I'll just make it right real quick. I should have had this saved. I'm sorry to do this live, guys. Let's go to the 200 weekly and see what we got here. Yeah. So let me just get rid of everything. Look at this, guys. So you can see right here, we are approaching very critical levels. So this is obviously, you know, you want to stay above this 200 weekly for the S&P, and we're very, very, very close. So that's why I'm saying, wow, that's crazy. That's almost in line with this wick right here, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, the S&P and the stocks, they need to bounce soon, because if they do go lower, then, you know how it goes. But I did not want to end this video on doom and gloom. We'll keep our eyes on it, guys. But nevertheless, hopefully, like, you were able to, you know, get in on that trade, guys. If you did, you can wait for the ultimate confirmation on it if you want. If you did play the breakout, congratulations. But like I said, as long as we don't fall back below this level around 19,500, and we do close above these levels right here, right, closing above this 89 EMA, closing above into the 1.619 area for 1.618 for this would be great. And yeah, so that would be pretty good for Bitcoin. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Hope you guys learned something today. I know I had a little bit of a rambling moment, but what are you going to do? Thank you for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Get subscribed if you haven't. Make sure if you are going to trade that you practice on a paper account first, especially if you're going to be doing leverage. If you want to do free spot trading, they have it over at BitGet, literally 0 fees. And if you are going to learn to trade, make sure you watch my tutorial popping up right here, right now. I guarantee you're going to appreciate the knowledge that you get from that. Thank you so much. My name's KW. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.